you have already built all the emails, all the templates. You only have to build a sequence and that's it. And that reduces a lot of time.
It makes you rethink whatever you're doing on your daily work, and it's better to be prepared. It's always better to be the one who's pointing them out than to have the client, getting to you and saying like, okay, why is this happening? What are we doing to solve this?
You're going to become, like we said, a problem solver.
To create a relationship based on trust, based on confidence, and to make you irreplaceable, you need to own the client.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Project Management Matters, a podcast dedicated to exploring the daily challenges and solutions in the world of project management. I'm your host, Camila. I'm a project manager here at Flowium, where I discover my passion for project management. Each month, we'll dive into real problems project managers face and provide practical insights to help you navigate these challenges more effectively. So today, we have an amazing guest. We have here Clara. She's a project manager here at Flowium with more than 10 years of experience in marketing. Hey, Clara, thank you so much for joining.
Hi, Cami. Thank you for having me. Very excited to be part of the podcast.
Yeah, me too. So today we have a very interesting topic. We are going to talk about ideas to increase your value with your clients. So first, I want to start, Clara, asking you a few questions about what do you think is key bullet points around creating an extra value on your clients?
Okay, perfect. So I think that as a project manager, you need to own your project, okay? So you need to understand that you're fully responsible for the actual delivery and completion of the project. This means that if you need to go the extra mile, if you need to come up with solutions that probably it's not part of your scope of work, you need to do that. You need to be able to deliver to the client. So I think that's very important. And as you said, there are problems that are going to come in the way, and you need to find different ways to solve them. If you want, let's go strategy by strategy. And that way I can probably add, like some examples of some things that have happened in the workplace that I think are going to be very helpful for our audience.
Definitely. I love that idea. Yeah. And I agree with you 100%. People, not only clients, value when you open doors for them, when you make things easier and you bring solutions to the table. So I think this is a great way to start this topic. But yeah, go ahead. Tell me some ideas.
Okay, so the first thing I want to mention is that as a project manager, you need to be a business translator. For example, you probably have clients that are going to ask you for we did this, and probably they're just making a request because they saw something online, they read it on a blog post, or
yeah, that happens a lot.
Yeah, or one of their peers mentioned that they're doing it, but there's no real reason behind what they're asking for. So when they ask for this type of things, it's always important to ask the right questions. Ask them why they need it. What are they expecting to achieve with this thing that they're asking? Those type of questions.
What's the result that they want to achieve?
Exactly. Those type of questions are going to help you, but most importantly, it's going to help them understand if they really, really need this, or if it's just something that they can skip, or they are actually implementing it on a different way. So it's super important to always ask the right questions. Help the client think thoroughly about each request that they make to you. If, in fact, it is something that will help the business, having clarity on what they are expecting from it will help you and your team perform a full implementation that's successful because you have a clear set of goals.
Yeah, definitely. And I love this point because that happened to me when I just started, that sometimes the client came up with an idea and I had no idea what they were talking about. And I panicked. And think okay, how we can implement this? is this doable, or who I need to talk to make this work. And after a few months working as a project management manager, I realized that actually you need to separate that request and try to really understand what they actually want. If they hear this in, I know, in other business or in internet, or if they want to achieve something, sometimes the client asks for things that they are actually already implementing, but they are not aware that that strategy that they implemented in the past works for what they are requesting right now. So it's also your job really understand that request and dive first into what you already have and see if you're already covering that spot, and also if it's actually valuable for them to do that, because sometimes there are new ideas, new strategies that don't apply in certain markets. So the client needs to hear that. And sometimes also happen that you give your advice as an expert. You say, I think this strategy is not going to be a good fit for your market or for your brand, and they decide to go anyways. But it's okay, because you already cover you already let them know that you think it's not going to be the best fit, or you already warned them to not expect certain results, because sometimes the strategy is not valuable for the brand.
100%. And as a strategy, it is not your job to say yes to everything. Maybe the client is making a request just because they heard it, and turns out that this request is
applicable.
It's not the best fit for their brand because whatever reason. So as a project manager, it is your job to actually say, hey, I don't think this is going to be a smart approach, and you need to give the reasons why. It's not just saying no. It's actually guiding them and explaining to them why this might not be the best idea. In other chances, yes, it is the best idea. So it is your job to, again, fully understand what the request is all about, so you're able to handle it the best way possible.
Yeah, even you can, maybe you have a current strategy that is working. You can even show metrics, numbers around that strategy, and that shows why we shouldn't change that. And again, there are clients that after seeing the numbers and everything, they still think it's the best option. Then you do your best to try to make that work. And
of course, it's their brand at the end of the day.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, and that is important as well. They know their brand, so maybe they are seeing something that you're not, and that can work or not, but you already cover all the scenarios that can happen.
Correct, definitely. And that ties very well to the next strategy that I have. It's basically being able to anticipate the problems before they surface. So for example, as a project manager, you need to fully understand what are the expectations of your client, what they really like seeing in the meetings, what they expect from you. So for example, I have a client, right, that they run certain promotions like every year after year, they run the same kind of deals. So I already know that every time that they have one of these deals, they want to see the comparison to the few years past. So what do I do? Like, we had the Mother's Day campaign, for example. How do I present the results? Basically, I just go and I show them the results for 2025, but I include the results for 2024 and 2023 and 2022. That allows them, and it also allows us to see what the performance is all about. You know, are we doing better? Are we doing worse? Why are the results happening the way they are? You need to be able to anticipate the requests in not only the problems, but the requests that your clients might have. So the same thing, if you're seeing you, as a project manager, you should be always monitoring the key analytics, at least for email marketing, the key analytics for your campaigns and for your automations and for everything. So if you see that there's a sudden drop, you need to tell your client, hey, we are seeing that the sales for, or that the numbers for May are not as good as they were for, April. This is what we are suggesting. So you need to be very strategic. It's not only letting them know that there's a problem happening, but you need to be able to deliver or to approach them with a solution. So for example, at least what we do with one of our clients is that we're always monitoring that. For this client, the sales number, the revenue numbers are super, super important. They're highly focused on those numbers. So whenever I'm always tracking, like week over week revenue numbers. So if I see that there's a drop or that we're not even close to the numbers that we were able to achieve the month before, I always come up with them and, hey, we are suggesting a very quick, 24-hour kind of special deal with top selling products. Or here is a campaign that we want to send out to people who have abandoned cart. We want to offer them free shipping. Those kind of approaches, it helps you peak the sales, and it's something that you can quickly deliver to the client, and it's something that they highly value. They see that you care. They see that you're monitoring their accounts. They see that you're involved in their business as if you were part of it, and that's something that spikes confidence. It spikes trust, and those are very, very important values that you need to be able to develop with all of your clients.
Yeah, definitely. And I think we talked about this with Christian on the previous podcast. It was around like how to build trust with the client. And we definitely talked about that. Anticipate the problems. It's key because you are being honest, and honestly, of course, always generates confidence, generates trust, and you go and show the real results, and also came up with a strategy on how you're gonna fix this, or how you're gonna make things better. It's always key. And actually, going around the episodes of this podcast, I've been realizing that it's key for mostly of the topics that we talked about.
Yes,
it's very important. Always anticipate the problems.
Yes, because you got to be real. You are going to have problems with an account. Every business does. There are moments in which sales drop. There are moments in which, I don't know, there's a flow that there's an automation that's not performing as well. Or, I don't know, the client is facing out of stock issues, or whatever it is that's happening. There are problems, and they're going to come along the way. You just need to be able to quickly spot them and not wait until the client says like, hey, we noticed this. Be proactive. Let them know what's happening. And again, come up with solutions,
Yeah. And I think, one of the best advice that you can give is compare the results with the previous year, because it's the same seasonality. Like you have the same month. For example, for BFCM, Black Friday and Cyber Monday, it's actually really good to compare with with a year before.
The year before.
Because you're comparing like the same period of time.
Correct.
So it's always good to do that comparison, because sometimes you used to compare with a month before.
And it's not fair. It's not fair.
No,
For
it's
example,
not fair.
It's never fair to compare the results of January with December. December is a peak season. People are buying. People are spending money. January, no one is spending money. So you cannot compare the results from January to December. You can compare January to January from the previous year. That's something that's fair. And that actually ties to one of the strategies. I think it was number 4, but let's go ahead with it. That you need to become a data storyteller. It's not just showing the numbers or guiding or just reading the numbers of a chart to your clients. They're able to read by themselves.
Of course.
You need to share the story behind those numbers. So if you're seeing that there's a peak on open rates and click rates and revenue per recipient, you need to be able to tell to the client, this is happening because we made some changes to the segmentation strategy, or we tried new send times, or whatever it is that you're doing.
Or because of a sale, a giveaway.
Exactly. But you need to be able to tell them the story behind those numbers, why the numbers that you're showing are happening. That's super important. And that also, of course, if you are comparing, let's say, Black Friday to the Black Friday from the year before, you need to be able to tell why the numbers are different, why they're better or they're worse. If they're worse, you can say, okay, they're worse because last year we sent out 5 campaigns and this year we only sent 2. So, there was a less brand recognition or whatever it is that's happening. If the numbers are better, you need to tell them why.
Yeah, so definitely. And this also show your expertise around marketing.
Exactly. As a project manager, your job is not to only tell, communicate whatever the request from the clients to your team and the other way around. You need to own the project. You need to feel the brand as yours. And a great way of showing that is by actually understanding the full analytics. So in understanding the strategy behind. So yes, you need to be able to tell the story. And one of the things that I always like doing is having, like a 10, 20-minute conversation with the strategist and say, okay, this is what we're going to do for next month. Okay, what is the segmentation strategy? Let's start testing send days, send times, or we want to automate, resending an email to non-openers. Okay, so we want to do that. And then as the weeks pass or the days pass, you need to be able to go back to that call or recall that call and check the numbers and see if the strategies that you implemented delivered the results that you were expecting. If it did, you need to turn to the client and tell them, okay, you remember that a few days ago or a few weeks ago, we told you that we were going to automate the resets of campaigns to non-openers and non-engagers. Okay, so these are the results that we were able to achieve with this. This means that you have X% more in revenue just because we automated an email. The reason of an email. So those little details, they matter to the client, and it closes the chances of them, or reduces the chances of them having to go into the email system, the email marketing system that you use, and having to check the analytics. If you're providing them with enough information, that they're going to be more than happy, and they're not going to have to turn and look for data themselves.
Yeah, and also avoids problems.
Yes.
Because when you have the client finding themselves good or bad numbers, you're gonna receive questions and maybe not a happy client because you didn't realize yourself what was going on the account.
Of course.
I love to do this podcast because it's actually a reminder for me every time that I record this around the good practice of project management. I wanted to say that, like, sometimes in the daily basis, you forget things, you forget these best practices that are important to double check. And I think I really hope project managers out there are hearing this, and this works as a reminder to be aware of these kind of things. For example, know about the strategy, master the strategy questioning. This one is another topic that we wanted to talk about, and definitely being aware around the strategy that is happening for the next month. It's key for you to monitoring the data, the results, what changes you can do. You need to work as a team with a strategist.
Definitely. And something else that I think it's very important, and I don't think that every project manager is necessarily aware of is that as a project manager, you need to have a network. You need to build your network. You need to have partners that you can refer to your clients to. You need to, for example, we work with email marketing. That's all we do at Flowium. Email marketing. We're highly focused on email marketing. But that doesn't mean that our clients might be facing problems with search engine optimization or problems with the design of their website, or that they need someone who handles their social media marketing, or that they need someone. There are many, many different things in the world of marketing. So it's super important that you as a project manager are able to suggest them, like, hey, we don't handle web design, but we do have an agency that we have worked with that we can send you their contact information. We can do the
introduction,
the introductions,
and connect them
and connect you guys. And we think that they might be the best option for you because we have seen what they're able to create. So you need to be able to. You need to become a problem solver. It doesn't mean that you are going to handle the redesign of their website, but you're going to be like the fairy godmother. Oh, you need to redesign. Here is someone that's going to help you, and you just connect them and introduce them to each other. The other agency is going to be very happy about that, and your client, they're going to be very happy because it's not like they need to start doing some research and try to figure out who they're going to work with or who's the best match to work with.
Yeah, and also there are a lot of platforms and other business that can actually help your business. Like around email marketing, we have a lot of platforms and partners that help with segmentation.
Exactly.
And those kind of things help on the emails, on the revenue and the attributed revenue by email, help the performance of the client business, but as well as the performance of the emails.
Definitely. That's why I think it's very important that you are always checking who are those partners that you can be referring to. So, for example, if you have a client that does not want to, use part of their email marketing campaigns or towards, order confirmation emails, there's an app for that. There's an app that you can add to Klaviyo, and it will just automatically handle it. And it's just like a one-time setup, and that's it. So there are many different options that you can always suggest to your clients, and that way their number of campaigns that they're sending out every month is not going to be, hurt, but they're still going to be able to deliver the full personalized experience that their clients are expecting.
Yeah, definitely. And having this network that your clients can trust also talks about your experience on the market, the experience that you have around different platforms. And yeah, I think this is a very valuable point. It's a very good idea on how to increase value for your clients, because that's exactly what you're doing. You're increasing their brand value, and without being directly benefit around it, but it will actually benefits you because you're going to have a better image around your client. He's going to trust you more. You're going to become, like we said, a problem solver.
Yes, definitely. And, you were saying that you need to be able to solve problems for yourself. So another key point or another key strategy that I always like to mention is that as a project manager, you need to create reusable assets. So for example, I mentioned a few minutes ago that I have a client that always likes to compare year over year, results for certain campaigns. So instead of having to always create the template for that, I just have a spreadsheet that, I just have like all the information that I know they want to look at. So for example, open rate, click rate, revenue per recipient, total revenue for the whole campaign, and those type of things. And I just have a reusable asset there. And it turns out that I was just recently assigned to a new client that I've been working with for a few months. And They want to see year-over-year results. So it's the same asset. I just, of course, color branded and for everyone, but it's basically the same asset. I'm just adding the new data, and it made my work so much easier because, of course, it took me some time to create it the first time. But then that's it. I have it there. I use it every month. I now use it for 2 clients, and I know that I will probably use it for more clients because at the end of the day, being able to show the year-over-year comparison is something that always adds value.
Yeah, definitely. And also reduce your time.
Definitely.
That you can be building something more important instead of redoing always the same. Also generate reusable assets for the client is key. For example, when you create a nurture flow, you can reuse the best top performing emails.
Definitely.
And you know that they worked, and you need like a sequence to nurture your audience, and why not use the top performing ones?
Of course,
and
of course.
You have already built all the emails, all the templates. You only have to build a sequence, and that's it. And that reduces a lot of time.
Oh, definitely. Yes, we actually do it. I have done it for one of my clients. Top performing campaigns that we know that they're not time sensitive or that they're not dedicated to like it's a one-time thing. Add them to your flows. Look for the strategic place. Maybe you need to do a tweak or the other, but you can add them to your flows. You already know that that's a top performing campaigns, that your target audience, they are engaged with that. They're the email, the full copy, subject line, design, everything, it resonates to them. So take advantage of an asset that you have built, that you already have tested out, and use it for automations.
Yeah, definitely. I think educational campaigns are key for this.
Yes.
Of course, we're going very deep into email marketing experience. That is because that's what we work with. But I'm pretty sure that reusable assets can apply to any business.
Yes.
Any business having templates with color branded that you can use for different ads, emails, social media posts. You can reuse those assets to generate value to the client without having to do everything from scratch. Definitely. And you also have like a backup prepared there.
Yes, that's super important. For the next strategy, I wanted to mention this is something that happened to me recently. You need to speak the same language as your client. So for example, it happened to me. I got recently assigned to an account that's in the healthcare business, in this healthcare thing. Actually, it was 2 accounts. They're in the healthcare industry. And when you're talking to them, you cannot talk about clients. You need to talk about patients. You don't talk about revenue generation, or you talk about appointment setting. When you start talking to your clients, you need to be in the zone. You need to be talking the same language as they do.
And this, let me add, this also talks about this storytelling. You need to adjust the story around the brand.
This is super important. And I know it might sound silly, but in the end, from the client's perspective, it really matters. It makes the whole difference, and it makes them understand that you care and that you understand their business. Because if you're talking about the revenue generated with someone whose end goal is not to of course they want to generate revenue, but the overall goal of their email marketing campaign is not to sell something, is to be able to drive the people to make an appointment and show up. Yeah. So you cannot talk, again, when you're showing the data, you cannot talk about this is the amount of revenue that we generated. No. First, that's a lie. And second, you need to tell them, okay, this month we were able to have X amount of booked appointments. And this applies for any industry, any client, and any. So for example, I have another brand, and they sell like gymnastic clothes. for girls. Okay, so we needed to, like take a deep dive into the customer and understand, okay, what is a unitard? What is a leotard? What is a swimsuit? Understand the main differences, because as you're talking to the client, you need to be able to speak the same language. You need to be able to understand if they're talking about one product or the other.
Yeah. Also, you have, I used to work with a client, for example, that their goal wasn't to generate revenue, was to inform. So you need to be able to adjust the metrics around that, because for this client, for example, we didn't track revenue.
Exactly.
Because that wasn't the goal. The goal was the open rate, the click rate, how many people we target with this email. You need to really understand what is valuable for the client. And
of course,
also sometimes there are clients that only want to change lives, for example, and they don't care about conversions. They care about the people that you are getting this information for. And also you need to treat with a lot of respect of what you are talking about. There are brands that are more sensitive, and you need to be aware of that. There are brands that are more technical, for example, and you need to learn about the business, about, I know if it's a medical brand, you need to learn about procedures and know what's valuable, what is not around each procedure. So yeah, it's complex, but it's important to really speak the same language as a client.
Yes, definitely. That's why I like when, as you're starting your relationship with a new client, always ask them, okay, what is your goal by establishing this new relationship with us? What do you want to achieve? Some of them are going to tell you revenue. We want to increase revenue. And that's okay. There are clients that are focused on revenue. Others, for example, we have a client right now that their main goal is to improve deliverability. We need to improve their deliverability score. Why? Because it's simple. If your emails are not getting delivered to the clients, nothing's going to happen. That's it. Yeah. You're losing time creating campaigns, creating copy, creating design, thinking about the segmentation strategy, the send date, the send time, because no one's getting the emails. And if no one's getting them, no one's even opening or clicking on them. So their goal is to improve deliverability. And that's what we're focused on right now. Okay, how are we going to achieve this goal? And what's the time frame for seeing results? And that way you can align the expectations of your client with your actual work. It would make no sense to spend hundreds of hours creating a certain type of campaign if no one's going to see them.
Yeah, definitely. And also, this makes you valuable for the client.
Of course.
You understand the brand, you understand the technical language, you understand how to see the brand, the point of view that the client wants for the brand. And it's going to add value to you, because maybe other project manager is not, I know you can change, but maybe the other project manager is not that aware of the technical language, and it's going to take time to learn. So that also adds value on you when you are able to deliver things knowing the language of the brand and knowing how important is this product against this one.
Yes.
Which ones are the top sellers? Which ones are the most popular procedures? If you're talking about aesthetic brand, for example.
That's why I think it's super important that you make yourself irreplaceable. So, and to do that, you need to take the time to get to know the brand, understand what is their mission, what is their vision, what are the top selling products, what products are very good but they don't sell as well, what products have a very good margin for your client. For example, we work with email marketing, but you need to follow those accounts on Instagram, TikTok, or whatever social network you're using.
Follow competitors.
You need to follow their competitors. Ask them, who are your top 5 competitors, for example. Do some digging. Subscribe to their email marketing campaigns.
Database.
Yeah, you need to be part of the brand. And that's the only way that you're going to be able to deliver, to create a relationship based on trust, based on confidence, and to make you irreplaceable. You need to own the client.
Yeah, I like to think project managers as an addition of the brand.
Yes.
Like they are not hiring a whole new company, but they are hiring someone to take care of the email marketing, in this case, part.
Exactly.
Of this portion, but you're part of the company, of the brand. So that's the best way to picture yourself in order to really involved in the brand.
Yes, definitely. And I just have 2 more strategies to share with you. The first one is very tied to what we're talking about, is you need to be able to deliver unexpected value. So, for example, if you have a client that's interested in creating value, in educating their audience, and you find something online, you're doing some research, you're subscribed to different blogs or whatever it is, but you find something that's, you think it's going to be valuable for the end reader of the brand. Share it with your client. Hey, I found this online. I think this is something that we can replicate, that we can grab some inspiration for our next campaign or for our next marketing effort or for our next whatever. I thought it was worth sharing it with you to see if you're okay with this, and we can start working on something similar. Take the lead. Try to always go the extra mile. Okay?
Yeah, definitely.
Again, I think I mentioned this on the past, but if you have a client that's very focused on revenue and you see that the revenue for the month is not as high or, through the numbers that you were expecting, always suggest to them new ways that you can, generate more revenue. It can, in email marketing, that can be creating a few SMS campaigns, okay? Or creating an email campaign, or making some edits to an automation that's probably not performing as expected. There are many, many different ways that you can show them and show them, yes, that you care, and help them achieve their end business goal.
Yeah, definitely. And also covering it's pretty similar as what we talked when we talk about anticipation. Always cover the spots before they realize and deliver this unexpected value. Talked about this is something they are not expecting, of course. So you can bring a new strategy that they didn't know that it exists or it was good for the brand. For example, in the company, we started work a lot and focus a lot with nurture sequence. Bring this nurture sequence to the client when they didn't even expect it,
exactly.
These new flows. I think also a nurture sequence is key for keeping your audience
engaged with the brand.
Engaged,
yes.
So you can always deliver these little things, or I don't know, I have a client right now that I really want to review the design because I feel that it has been with us a lot of time and we need to give that extra mile. We need to review the design and see if we can came up with something more shocking or different, and show the client that we are there. We are paying attention. We don't need him to say, hey, I think we are doing the same design for a long time. Can we redo this? Can we double check if we can adjust something?
Definitely.
I think that showing up before the clients expects makes the difference.
Yes, and something similar happened to us. We actually have this client. Turns out that they have a wish list, and they were not using the wish list in any form in their email marketing efforts.
Oh, and wish lists are key.
And wish lists are key. People are actually on purpose adding items there. As a brand, you need to follow up with them. You need to entice them to buy them. You need to, hey, Clara, you remember that you added this to your wish list. We have this, and turns out it's going out of stock very soon. Get yours before they're gone, kind of message. So we told them, like, you have a wish list. I've been subscribed to your wish list for over a month, and I haven't received a single reminder. If it's not because I'm going constantly on your website, I would have forgotten that I even created that wish list.
Yeah, let's create an automation for that.
Let's create an automation. It can be 2, 3 emails, 4 emails. It can be, or 1 email and 2 SMS. It can be as simple or as complex as you want. But you need to remind people that they have those items there. They're going out of stock, or simply offer them like, hey, grab yours with 10% discount, kind of message. There are many different things that you can do in this case. But as a project manager, it is your job to bring those conversations to the table, follow up, and make sure that you're doing everything you can so the client can achieve their end goal, whatever it is. If it's revenue, if it's educating people, if it's appointment setting, whatever it is, you just need to make sure that they are on track to achieving their goal.
Yeah, I think it's very good. And this is something that our lead shared with us one time, doing an audit from the beginning, from even the sales call, doing an audit around everything that has been happening on the account. That is something that I started to do it myself, adding like a spot on each month to do a review and audit of every account and see where we can improve, what things can get better, spots that we can cover, or new ideas or new partnerships that we can do. And it's very important to do audits yourself and bring up this value to the client.
Yes. And now that you met, that's very tied to the last point that I wanted to share. Every client, they have a contract that needs renewal. Don't wait for the renewal date to just simply show your client how wonderful you are. Take advantage, take the lead. Be prepared for that moment. And a few months before that time frame, just show them, okay, this is how you started. These are the numbers of when you started working with us. These are the numbers right now. We are seeing an X% of increasing, in our case, email deliveries, and X% on attributed revenue for email marketing, or whatever it is that you're working with. Show them the value that working with you represents. Make them coming back for more. So for example, I have a client, a few months ago, they mentioned to us like, hey, we are not hitting the target on, the expected revenue for every email campaign. It has to be around X number. And we were like, oh, okay, we are way below that number right now. We need to do something. So the strategist and I, we sat down, we were like, okay, let's get our heads together. Let's think about this. And on a call this week, they were like, you prove to us, because this client was very like, we don't want to send a bunch of emails because this only leads us to being flagged as spam. So we need to be very careful. We convinced them of just doing some reasons to people who had not engaged or opened or received the first email. It has delivered the best results ever, to the point that today they told us, hey, we want to increase the number of emails campaigns that we're sending with you. So not only we were able to, hit the target of the expected revenue per campaign, but we were able to convince them like, hey, you can send more emails. People are still going to be okay with it. People are used to getting a lot of emails per day. Of course, this does not mean we're going to be bombarding them, but there are many things that you can do to make them understand the value that represents working with you for their brand. And again, you don't have to wait for the renewal of the contract to show them this. You can do it a few days, a few months ahead, and you can do it on different ways, on your ongoing relationship. Because then when the renewal date hits, they're going to, just sign the contract again and renew the contract, because they understand that if they remove you from the equation of their business is going to get hit. And I don't think anyone wants that.
Yeah, definitely. You really notice when a client appreciates the value that you are bringing to the brand. You even if they have to leave for any reason, for maybe they had been acquired by another company, or any third party reason that have them leaving the company. If you made a good impression, I am pretty sure that they are going to connect in the future.
Yes.
From other brand, for other business, for it doesn't matter. Even I have clients that are getting back on Flowium from a different company. They changed company, and they used to be marketing directors, and now they are marketing directors in a different company, and they hired us again because they had a really good impression, a really good idea on what we work and how we work and the results that we bring. And so, it's really important, not only for the current relationship, but also for the future.
Of course. And those are the clients who are going to leave a positive review. And in today's world, it is key for any agency or any business out there to be able to have positive reviews online. That's what's going to make or break your business, because people today, they trust more the reviews and opinions and ratings of people online than anything else. So you, as a project manager, are also in charge of being able to gather that positive feedback and yes, be able to show to the world, hey, we are the best. We know what we do. We take care of your brand as if it was ours. So it's super important to, yes, always go the extra mile, always speak the same language as your client, always go beyond data and create or share the story around those numbers that you're sharing with your client. Always add value, and of course, always anticipate problems. And on that point, I wanted to add something. It's a situation that I think everyone is facing right now. We have all the situation with the tariffs and, prices increasing and everything else. As a project manager, you are able to reach out to your customer, to your client, and ask them, is this going to impact your business? If it is, you can create a different or suggest different action plans to be able to affront that situation and try to, calm the waters with their own database and with their own clients, and try to see what's the best way to communicate those changes, or there's those peaks in prices that are coming up, or, hey, prepare, grab your stock before we ran out, or whatever the message it is. But as a project manager, yes, you need to be able to anticipate the problems and have a very close relationship with your clients. Don't wait up for the next meeting. I have clients that I only see one time a month, but we exchange emails or Slack messages every single day. So you don't have to wait to a face-to-face conversation. You can always reach out to them. You have their contact information.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, I think we covered all the key points. Is there something else that you would like to add?
Yes, as a closing line, I know that we have covered very many different strategies. Implementing this can be overwhelming. So don't try to do them all at the same time. Focus on two. If you ask me, the first two I would start working with is, first, speak the same language as your client. And the second one is ask the right questions. You need to be able to understand the business. You need to be able to understand their requests, their needs, why they're asking for what they're asking. And you need to be able to communicate to your team everything that the client is asking. So don't hesitate to say no. Don't hesitate to ask the questions. It is better to have a longer conversation with them, but for you to be able to fully understand what they're asking and why they're asking it.
Yeah, definitely. And for third, I will go with make an audit and always anticipate problems before they surface. I think that one is key as well.
Yes, definitely. Anticipating the problems is key, because if not, the problems are going to slap you in the face. They're going to come your way, and it's better to be prepared. It's always better to be the one who's pointing them out than to have the client, getting to you and saying like, okay, why is this happening? What are we doing to solve this?
Yeah, definitely agree. Okay, well, I think this conversation has been so valuable, talking about value. This conversation has been actually really valuable. I think we really cover best practices around project management that is important to remember. To be honest, I'm going from this conversation with a lot of things to think and to review on my daily work. I loved it. I actually love this episode. I think we cover really important things on the project management area.
Thank you for having me, Cami. It was an awesome conversation. And as you said,
so much.
It makes you rethink whatever you're doing on your daily work, because at some point, the task after task after task makes you forget about the most important things.
Yeah, definitely. And thank you so much for sharing all your acknowledgement with us. It has been actually really good to have you here to share your ideas, your key points. It actually made me think, and it made me want to go and review a lot of stuff around my own clients. So thank you so much.
No, thank you.
Okay, well, thank you everyone for watching. I hope we can meet the next episode and see you next month. Bye-bye.